I tested 5 machines under $500 and 4 are financial death traps. I spent $2,497 and 30 days running real businesses with them so you don't have to. Choose the wrong one and you're buying a subscription to bankruptcy. Hidden costs will bleed your margins dry before you sell a single unit. Only one machine actually turned a profit by day 14. And spoiler, it wasn't the popular brand everyone recommends on TikTok. The others? They're engineered to fail at scale. But first, you need to understand what actually separates winners from expensive paperweights. I didn't judge these machines on unboxing experiences or cute software interfaces. I judged them on 3 brutal metrics that determine if you eat or starve. First, the walkaway factor. If I have to babysit a machine for 45 minutes to print a $12 item, I'm not running a business. I'm working for $4 an hour. Every machine had to run 10 consecutive jobs without a single jam. One error means wasted stock and 0 profit. Second, material freedom. This is the silent killer. I calculated cost per unit strictly using generic wholesale materials. If a machine forced me to use proprietary brand name vinyl or filament via software locks, it got an immediate strike. Paying $14 for a material that costs $3 on Alibaba isn't a business expense, it's a stupidity tax designed to bleed you dry. Finally, the break-even velocity. I tracked exactly how many operational hours it took to pay back the $500 purchase price. My threshold was strict, 40 operational hours. If the machine couldn't pay for itself in one standard work week of production, it's a toy, not an asset. Most of these failed the math immediately. So here's what happened when I put 5 machines through these tests, starting with the worst. Number 5 was the Brother SE600 embroidery machine. I paid $449 expecting a custom apparel factory on my desk. Instead, I bought a lesson in statistical impossibility. To break even at current Etsy market rates, I needed to produce 140 flawless patches. That sounds doable until you hit Start. The machine ran at a snail's pace, taking 45 minutes for a single 4-inch design. But speed wasn't the fatal flaw, reliability was. Every third design, the thread snapped or the bobbin nested. I spent 20 minutes fixing the machine for every 40 minutes of printing. That's a 33% downtime rate. My effective hourly wage dropped to -$2.50. You cannot scale a business where production stops every time you blink. This machine is fine for grandma's pillowcases. For a business, it's an insolvency engine. I looked at my ledger after week 1. $600 down, including materials, 0 sellable inventory. The learning curve they talk about is just marketing speak for unpaid labor. I needed reliability, so I moved to the next tier. Number 4 was the generic 5-in-1 heat press from Amazon. It cost $179 and promised industrial results. It lied. The machine heated up fast, dangerously fast. I used a laser thermal gun to map the platen temperature. The digital display read 400 degrees. The center of the plate was actually 385. The corners were barely hitting 345. That 40-degree variance is catastrophic for sublimation printing. I ruined $150 worth of polyester blanks in 2 days. Half the image cured perfectly, the edges were faded ghosts. To fix it, I had to increase the dwell time. That cooked the shirts, turning white fabric yellow. You save $200 buying this knockoff, then you lose $500 in ruined inventory in the first month. It's not a business asset, it's a fire hazard that eats profit. Not because the machines were broken, but because they were working exactly as intended to extract money from hopeful beginners. Which brings us to the most popular and most predatory machine on the list. Number 3, the Cricut Maker 3. I paid $379. The hardware is sleek, beautiful engineering, but the business model is a bear trap. I tried to cut a bulk order using generic vinyl I bought for $8 wholesale. The machine slipped. The cuts were jagged and unusable. I wasted 10 feet of material trying to calibrate it. Then I switched to their branded smart materials at $45 a roll. Perfect cuts instantly. That's not a coincidence, that's a sensor lock. They engineered the machine to fail with affordable materials. Then came the software. To import my own SVG designs for clients, the interface was sluggish and buggy, unless, of course, I paid the monthly Access subscription. Their public financial filings admit it. Their goal is to increase revenue per user. That user is you. Your profit margin is their growth strategy. I calculated the cost per decal. With generic vinyl, 12 cents. With their ecosystem, 84 cents. You can't scale a business when your supplier is actively fighting your margins. 2 products left. And this is where I realized I'd been testing for the wrong thing. I stared at my profit and loss sheet and realized I was testing the wrong thing. I kept asking, can this machine make a product? The answer for all of them is technically yes, but that's the amateur metric. The real question is this machine engineered to let me scale? And for the first 3, the answer was a hard, calculated no. The manufacturers of numbers 5, 4, and 3 aren't incompetent. They are predatory. The unreliability isn't a quality control failure, it's a retention strategy. If this $400 machine worked perfectly for 1,000 units, nobody would ever buy their $4,000 industrial upgrades. They engineered a glass ceiling directly into the hardware. The Cricut slows down unless you pay the subscription ransom. The Brother jams constantly to force you toward the multi-needle model. They are selling you a hobby while promising you a startup. That distinction cost me $1,400 in lost production hours. I went back to my data with a new lens. Frictionless repetition. I don't care about the quality of the first print. I care about the variance of the 50th print. Does the machine get hotter, slower, or dumber the longer it runs? The heat press failed this immediately. Its temperature curve looked like a roller coaster, making consistency impossible. This changed the entire leaderboard. The specs on the box became irrelevant. I stopped looking for smart features and started looking for dumb consistency. I wanted a machine that was boring, because in manufacturing, excitement usually means something is on fire or costing you money. The final 2 machines aren't pretty. They don't have slick iPad apps or influencer marketing campaigns. One is a utilitarian brick from a company you've never heard of. The other is a terrifyingly open platform that scares most beginners. But both of them passed the only test that matters. They worked while I slept. Which brings us to number 2, and the one machine that actually made money. Number 2 is the Creality Ender 3v3 SE. I paid $199. On paper, this machine is a margin monster. Generic PLA filament costs $15 per kilogram. That's enough plastic to print 40 articulated dragons, selling for $15 each. The math suggests a 4,000% return. It passed the material freedom test effortlessly, but it failed the frictionless repetition twist hard. 3D printing is basically physics fighting you in real time. To keep this machine running, I had to become a full-time mechanic. Bed leveling issues, clogged nozzles, and humidity shifts. I spent 6 hours troubleshooting for every 20 hours of production. That kills your hourly rate. You can make money with this, but you can't scale it alone. You aren't buying a business, you're buying a very demanding pet. That leaves number 1, the Comgrow Z1 10-watt diode laser. I paid $369. It looks like a science fair project. No fancy enclosure, exposed wires, 0 consumer polish. But this is the only machine that printed pure profit by day 5. Here is why it won. Reliability and margins. I bought generic slate coasters for 40 cents each. The laser engraved custom real estate logos in 120 seconds flat. No jamming, no physical contact with the material, no proprietary ink to refill. I sold sets of 4 for $25. That is a $23.40 gross profit for 8 minutes of machine time. Crucially, it runs on Lightburn software. That's the open source industry standard. No subscriptions, no cloud reliance, no locks. I ran this machine for 10 hours straight. It didn't get tired, it didn't ask for an update, it just burned money into stone. But don't buy it yet. It has serious downsides. It produces toxic smoke, so you need an exhaust system or a garage. It's dangerous. One reflection can blind you permanently. And the software learning curve is steep. It is not a toy, it is a tool. But if you respect it, it pays you. If you have a ventilated garage and demand immediate cash flow, buy the Comgrow laser. It's the only machine here that respects the math of manufacturing. You can start selling high-margin products next week. If you are technically inclined but cash poor, the Creality 3D printer works. Just understand you are buying a second job as a mechanic, not a passive income stream. As for the Cricut, the embroidery machine, and the cheap heat press, run. They are consumer traps designed to look like production tools. My critical mistake was assuming a higher price tag meant better reliability. It doesn't. It often just means better marketing and tighter software locks. I wasted $1,000 learning that lesson, so you can keep that cash in your bank account. Expensive gear won't save a bad business model, but the right gear stops being the reason you fail.